welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where nobody can accuse us of not having our fingers on the pulse of sudoku worldwide. This puzzle on screen is called Broken Fence by Myxo, and I believe it was only published about midnight today. But we've already received 2 emails that were so fulsome in their praise of this puzzle that we thought we might take a look at it. And I noticed it's been published on Logic Masters Germany. It's got a 100% perfect rating already. And let's look at these comments from some of the great and the good of the Sudoku community. This one from Playmaker6174, who basically solves all the puzzles that exist, tickled me. I'll gladly put a huge amount of money to get this puzzle into the Puzzle Museum. Well, Mark and I are actually changing the name of the channel shortly to the Puzzle Museum, Playmaker6174. So you know our email address. If you're looking to send us a huge amount of money, we would be very, very grateful. But quite clearly, this puzzle is something very special indeed. And I'm delighted with myself because I think I worked out why it was called Broken Fence. I think that must be because we could highlight these cages in the grid. Not sure. Do I have? Oh, I do have brown in the new palette. Look at that. And I've got a fence here with some holes in it. So that must be my broken fence. Anyway, I'll read the rules of this in a moment, but apparently it's absolutely brilliant. I need to start today by saying a very happy birthday to Lucas from your girlfriend Emma. Now, Emma wrote to us and told us that, Lucas, you're, I think, a first-year grad student at Berkeley, so you're clearly a very clever chap indeed, and we're delighted to hear you enjoy the channel. And I know Emma wishes she was with you today. She can't be, and she thought a shout out on the channel might improve your birthday. I hope that's true, and I hope, Lucas, you're able to have a suitable amount of chocolate cake, of course. Now, the only other news is about the Patreon reward for December, which was only published at 4 o'clock yesterday. And let me show you a picture of it. Actually, where's my picture of it? Here we go. The Cryptic Scriptures of the Secret Snake Society. And the feedback we've been getting on this has been incredible, both for people who've solved the first half of it, and, believe it or not, people who have solved the whole thing. We received the first entry 6 hours and 41 minutes after we published it from Kelvin Graham. So Kelvin, that is some stellar solving. Well, it's also stellar stamina, frankly, to average under 30 minutes a puzzle for all those puzzles for that length of time is seriously, seriously quick. So congratulations. Kelvin was followed by Jonathan J.H. Harsh, who is always very fast, and actually Jonathan's comment in his email also amused me. Jonathan wrote, every single one of these puzzles was legitimately incredible. So it's certainly a testament to to the quality of this pack. Then well done also to Adam Jaziri, Tom Hayton, Anthony Anderson, Leon Zhang. Leon, you're quite right, Indiana Jones would not approve of this Sudoku hunt. Nathan Gilbert, Andrea Pachera, Liam Landrum, Surab Das, Jessica Friesen and Winnie Schmidt, Tommy Jiang, Yan Lim and Dr. Mark Schumann. All of you sent in the correct answers. Congratulations. So if you're a patron, you need to be trying this. It really is stellar. If you're not a patron, do join. It's a couple of bucks a month and you're getting just some incredible, incredible Sudoku puzzles. And if you are stuck, don't forget, over on the Discord server, the CTC fan Discord server, there is a special channel on there just for our patrons where a lot of the authors tend to hang out with, and they will share their secrets with you. So if you are stuck, that might be a good place to look. Anyway, let's read the rules of Broken Fence and see what Myxo's got in store for us. I think I've done a Myxo puzzle before. I should have looked this up, shouldn't I? I have a feeling it was a very good puzzle as well, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised that this puzzle has been so well recommended so quickly. But the rules are: normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage, and it appears we only have cages that sum to 28 in this puzzle. Along thermometers, digits must increase from the bulb end, so if this cell here was a 5, I was trying to type a 4, but I managed to type a 5. That could be a 7, that could be a 9. 5, 7, 9. Just as mercury would rise as the temperature rises, so our digits must rise as we move along a thermometer from the bulb. Digits along the main diagonal marked in blue must not repeat, so we've got to have the digits 1 to 9 on that diagonal once each. The clue outside the grid gives the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal. Right, so those 4 digits there add up to 27, and digits may repeat along this diagonal if allowed by other rules. So although we can't have 3 9s on that diagonal without having a 0, we could have 2 9s, look, and a 1 and an 8, and they would add up to 27, and that would be a legitimate way of filling that diagonal. So do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And apologies if I do start sneezing, I will pause the video, but Mark somehow, even though he lives 20 miles away, seems to have given me whatever illness he's been suffering with. Okay, so what do we do to start this puzzle? Well, I mean, there are some things I can immediately eliminate as being likely points of starting. I mean, the thermometers are too short. The lead diagonal won't do anything at this point. The 27 diagonal is slightly high, but even in the example I just did, you saw I managed to put a 1 and a 9 on it, so it's clearly not that restricted. So it must be these 28 cages, I think. And I can see we can do some maths, although I don't relish doing the maths, but maybe that's what we've got to do. In fact, let's try that then. So if we highlight the whole of the broken fence, I suppose I should do that in brown. There we go. So those digits that are going to occupy our brown cells, we actually know what they sum to, because they must sum up. Well, there are 9 sudoku boxes, so there are 9 cages, each of which sums to 28. Now 9 times 28 is 180 plus 72 is 252. Right, so these cells add up to 252, but we can express this in a different way using a secret, and it's a secret that I only tell my very favourite people, but if you're still with me, you're definitely in that set of people, so I will tell it to you. And the secret is that any complete row of a sudoku, because it contains the digits 1 to 9, must sum to 45, because that's what you get if you add 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. So what I'm going to try and do here, I suppose it's going to be to isolate the value of the central cells here, these cells. See if you can see how to do that. That's a good thing, I think, probably to practice. If you can't see immediately why I think I can isolate the value of these highlighted cells, then pause the video. I'll give you a couple of seconds, but for those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. The way to get this is to say we know the brown squares add up to, what was it, 252, but we can also express the value of the brown squares by reference to the secret. So I know that these 3 rows of the sudoku must add up to 135, because each of these is a 45 for its complete row. Now if we add on these 3 columns, that's going to be another 135's worth of digits, and you may say, well, 135 times 2 is 270. That's different from 252. Why is it different from 252? Well, it's different, of course, because this cell, 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 and this cell are not just included once when I sum up, for example, this row and this column. This digit is in both this row and this column. So when I come up with my 270 number, I'm including this cell twice, and in fact all of these central cells. So these cells are accounting for the difference between 270 and 252, and that I can now see is very helpful, because the difference between 270 and 252 is 18, and how can I make these 9 digits only add up to 18? Well, they've all got to be 1, 2 and 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 3 lots of 6 is 18. There's no way of making these digits lower than 1, 2 and 3. So that's immediately probably quite useful. Let's have a look at what that's going to do. Well, it's doing something on that thermometer, look. In fact, it's doing something on 3 thermometers at least. So these cells now cannot be 1, and if you watched yesterday's video, you will know of what I speak. Where can 1 go on a thermometer? Well, it can only ever go in the bulb, because if we did try and put 1 halfway along a thermometer, we're going to be in 0 and negative numbers by the time we go backwards to the bulb. So, right, so these cells, therefore, are all really tiny. They're all 1s or 2s. Right, and now we have to pause for thought. What is this telling me? And the answer to that is, I don't know. I'm sure it's telling me something, and I'm going to spot something in a moment. Come on, what's this doing? I mean, I'm seeing that each of these little cross shapes only has 1 low digit in it, which is not very surprising because 28 is quite a high. Well, actually, 28 isn't that high now I think about it. I mean, if you think about an average size Sudoku digit, that would be a 5, and there are 5 cells in this cross. So the average size of a 5-cell cage would be 25, and this adds up to 28. So it's very slightly high. But the fact that because you always have these 1, 2, 3 triples everywhere, means you can't put a second low digit in any of these positions. So in each of our 28 cages in the puzzle, there is exactly 1 of the digits 1, 2 and 3, and no other digits 1, 2 and 3. Oh dear. that's very interesting, but not actually telling me what I need to know. Okay, right, well, okay, I say that, but that's actually... Right, let's actually do some proper Sudoku. Oh, I did not say her name. I just didn't. I said let's. That's not the same as Alexa. I'm sorry. She does like to butt into the videos. But what I was thinking is, if I combine Sudoku in the row and the column in this box with Sudoku on the diagonal, where I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple, look, where do I put the 1, 2 and the 3 in this box? Well, because I can't put them there, and I can't put them another one in those cells in the cage, those cells have got to be a 1, 2, 3 triple. Which... See, why can't I see that? I mean, that works exactly the same way here. I don't know why I couldn't just see that. Oh, it's going to work. Oh, for goodness sake. I am so slow. Wow. Okay, right. It works exactly the same here, but that's by the by. The place is interesting is here. But let's actually do it here. Because we can't repeat a 1, 2 and 3 in any of those cells or on the diagonal, we've got a 1, 2 and 3 here. In this box, though, let's do that same trick. We can't put 1, 2 and 3 on the diagonal. We can't put a second, well, another 1, 2 and 3 in any of those cells because of Sudoku, because of the 1, 2, 3 triples. So that means in this box, you get a 1, 2, 3 triple on the thermo. And that gives us digits. It's got to be 3, 2, 1. Those are not 2. Those are not 2. Those are not 2. Oh, right. Oh, well, okay, this is very good. So now I get a 2 here and a 2 here as well by Sudoku. I seem to have acquired some 1, 3 pairs. And that means I must have 1s in those squares. And suddenly this negative diagonal is nearly finished. Oh, gosh, no, I'm not scanning well at all. Now I suddenly convinced myself this 2 was on the 27 diagonal, which it most certainly isn't. Right. Now, what does this mean then? I actually quite want to colour my 1s and 3s. because I can colour each of these individually because of the diagonal. In fact, let's do that. That's probably not a silly idea. So if we make that yellow, this can be another colour. We'll make that brown. So both of those are now yellow and both of these are now brown. Now, has that done anything at all? The answer might be no. 3 in this box can't be in those cells, can it? Because of these 1, 3 pairs. So 3, well, probably this is 3. Is that the same here? Yeah, okay, it's the same in this box, isn't it? 3 can't be in the cross, so 3 is in one of those. Oops, not 6, 3 is in one of those cells. Still not affecting the diagonal. Now Mark would probably pencil mark those bulbs at the moment, because those bulbs obviously can't be 1, 2 or 3 anymore, so they've got to be 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8. They can't be 9 because they're bulbs, and that would make the tips at least 10. But do I want to highlight 5 different digits into a bulb? No, I do not. Okay. So maybe it's... Is it maths again then? Does it matter that you can only put 1 low digit in these 28 cages? So if that's a 1, you've got to put a 9 in the cage. And I know that. I don't know why I know that, but in terms of, well, the thing I know is not that. The thing I know is that 8, 7, 6 and 5 add to 26, and that's probably from sandwich sudoku. And 26 plus 1, here is a knowledge bomb for you, is 27, and 27 is less than 28. So, so I know that if this is a 1, but the thing is it might not be, that might be a 1. But if this is a 1, I have to put 9 in one of those cells. In fact, right, if that's a 1, I have to actually put 9 in one of those 2 cells. Because if that's a 1, these cells aren't on this diagonal. And I can't put 9 in a bulb. So if this is 1, you get a 9 down here. But if this is 1, you get a 9 up there. Okay, I don't really know. So if that's 1, I have to put 9 down here. So 9 is not going to be in this cage, which has a 3 in it. I can't really work out. Maybe it's better to look at the digits that are outside the cage. Let me think about that instead. So if you've got... Yes, oh, okay, there is only one option. Yeah, so I don't know why. I found it easier to think about this if I thought about those 4 cells, because using the secret, we know what the sum of those 4 cells is. Those 4 cells have to add up to the difference between 28 and 45, which is the sum of the whole box. So these have to add up to 17. Now, if this is a 3, this is a 1, 2 pair, and that's, well, one of these is a 9. So that's 12. So we must have a 5 in one of those squares. That is interesting. I mean, I can't do anything with this because it's just horrible to pencil mark. Because what I'm saying is that this is not necessarily a 1. What I'm saying is that wherever we put the 1, the 1 is in one of these 2 cells. Actually, that needs to be yellow, doesn't it? Wherever I put the 1, then in the opposite box, I get a 5, 9. Oh, Mark's going to be tittering away. Oh, bobbins. Right, okay, so maybe I have got to highlight these cells because they can't have 5 in them now. Yeah, okay. So whichever one of these is a 1, because in the opposite box you get a 5, 9 into those squares, you can't put 5 into those bulbs. So those bulbs which can't be 1, 2 and 3 have got to be 4, 6, 7 or 8 only. And that seems more reasonable to pencil mark 4 digits in a cell. he says, trying to make excuses. Okay. So if that's 5, 9, then you would have to put 5 and 9 in this box, wouldn't you? And the problem is this logic is all reversible. So this could be a 1 with a 5, 9 pair up here. But let's just go with the fact, if that's a 1 and you have a 5, 9 pair in these cells, then those cells have got to have a 5 and a 9 in them. In fact, well, you would know where the 9 would go, of course, because it's a thermometer. And you'd have 15 from 1, 5 and 9, and 2 more digits that have to add up to 28, so you need 13 more, which couldn't be 5, 8 or 4, 9. Ah, right. Right, so that's actually interesting in the sense that it would be completely determined. If this is 1, you've got to put you've got to put 5, 6, 7, 9 on this thermo, and you would, because it's a thermo, you would write it in 5, 6, 7, 9. Now the only problem here is that this doesn't have to be the 1. Let me just look at this a sec. So if that's 1 and this is 5, 6, 7, 9, then this would be 3, and we said that we'd have and this would be 4, 6, 7, 9, because you'd have 5, 9 on the diagonal. Right, okay, well here's something then. Ah, yeah, this is good. This is good. So, let me just unwind this for a second. So the point, I think, is that whether you have 1 or 3 in these positions, you always have 6 and 7 on the thermometer. And you always have 6 and 7 as the second and third digit on the thermometer, because with the 1, we said it had to be 5, 6, 7, 9. So if this was the 1, you'd have 5, 6, 7, 9. But on the 3, you have 4, 6, 7, 8. Because you have the 5 and the 9 here. So again, the 6, 7 are the middle digits. So that is always a 6, that's always a 7, that's always a 6, that's always a 7. And that means, where do 6 and 7 go? On the main diagonal. And the answer is in those squares, which are the circles. So this is a 6, 7 pair, which means these squares are 7, 8, and 9. That's not 7. So this digit is now in one of those two cells in box 5. Okay. 6 in box 1 is not in that cross anymore. So the 6 is joining the 3. The 6 is joining the 3 outside. Right, this is good. Okay. So let's look at these cells now. These outies in box 1. Oh, that's a bit too green for me. I'll ungreenify these in a moment. But we know that these 4 digits add up to 17 by maths. So we need these 3 to add up to 16. We know one of them is a 3, so we need the other 2 to add up to 13. And I've just worked out that one of the other digits is a 6 in one of these. So there must be a 7 out there as well to get to the 13 we need. Oh, so that's a 7. I'm just going to check that, because that seems remarkably unlikely that this puzzle would just give me a digit like that. Let me just think about this again. This is adding up to 17. I know we've got 3. Why do I know one of these is a 3? Yeah, because you can't put a second low digit in the 28 cage, so that's fair. Is this 2 fair? Yeah, that 2's caused by the 1, 3 pairs. Okay. Okay. So I've got to have 1 and 3. I've now got to have 6, so I need to have 7 to the masterwork. That's absolutely brilliant, because now that cell is a 7 by Sudoku, and this is a 3, 6 pair. which means we can get rid of the corner pencil marks. We can now degreenify this. We've got a 7 in one of those two cells by Sudoku, a 7 in one of these two cells by Sudoku. No 7 in this cross by Sudoku, so there's a 7. Oh, so we can get the other digit here. Oh, it's the same. Yeah, this is the same box as this. The outies are the same. Because once the 7 joins a 3 and a 1 outside the total, the other digit is a 6 in order to get us to 17. So that's a 3, 6, 7. And these aren't... Oh, this is... there's some symmetry going on here. I don't quite understand it, but this 6 is doing a similar thing to this 7. And it's giving us a digit. So 6 is in this box. Oh, I got another 6. Yes, look. Where does 6 go in the central column? Well, the answer is not those, because of this 6, 7 pair, so it goes right at the top. That was exciting for a moment, and now it's... Well, no, it is. It's the same symmetry. There's some very strange stuff going on in this puzzle, but look, those two squares have to include a 6. So now we can do exactly that logic we just did on column 5 on row 5. There's no 6 in there, there's no 6 in there, that doesn't seem to be able to be a 6, that doesn't seem to be able to be a 6. And the reason that's not a 6, look, is because of this thermo. That's interesting. Oh, that can't be a 7 either. Anyway, 6 in that row goes here, which gives me a 6 here and a 3 there. Oh, so it's not a 1, 2, 3. I thought these were all going to be 1, 2, 3s. How many 6s have I got in the grid? 6. Oh, I see, and I've got this sort of X-wingy pattern here that won't resolve. What about 7s? I've hardly got any 7s. I've got 1. I've got a few pencil marked 7s though. And I can get another pencil mark in this column. Yeah, I've got to be careful here. There's a lot of symmetry about everything here, and it's bouncing back and forward. So I can probably, I would guess, pencil mark a 7 in this box. Yes, I can. 7s and 7s. So symmetry helps me out. There's a 7 and a 6. So, okay. So there's a 7 and a 6 in this one. There's a 7 and a 6 in this one. There's a 7 and a 6 in this one. But there is not a 7 and a 6 in this one. All this one, all this one. Right, and there was something else that yes, that's got to be an 8 or a 9 now, because it's got to be higher than 7. That's got to be an 8 or a 9. These 8s and 9s are probably now interesting, are they? Can we colour our 8s and 9s? That's a question I want to ask. Is there a linkage? Whatever that is. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure yet, but I'm just going to check this. I'm going to make that green for a moment. Now, green now on this diagonal can't go in those two squares, so must go in one of those two squares. And that is interesting, because now this is not green. So let's award this a different colour. What colour should we use? Blue. I'll make it light blue. So do I know what this one is? That's the question. Or that one. And the answer is, I think, no. It's close. It feels like I should know. Do I know that these are different? Ooh, yes, I do. Right, so one of these is green and one of these is blue. I don't know which way round they go. The reason these are different is, imagine they were the same. Where would you put that digit in box 5? There would be no home for it, because the cross would be ruled out. So these are different. No. It doesn't work. I still can't make it communicate properly. This green has to be in one of those cells by sudoku in box 1, and this blue has to be in one of those cells by sudoku in box 1. So I know that these aren't 8s and 9s. Because there's sort of a virtual 8-9 pair between those 3 cells. Oh dear. I have a feeling that I'm running out of ideas now. What about that digit then? That digit is on a bulb and it's less than 6 and it's not 1, 2 or 3. So that is a 4 or a 5. And the same will be true up there, won't it? And are these different? Are those different? Yes, it's the same sort of idea, isn't it? The communication along the diagonal. So whatever this digit is, let's make that purple. That can't be in those 2 cells, so it must be in one of these 2 cells. Let's highlight that, and then this digit is going to be the opposite of purple, which we shall make red. So red now is in one of... Oh, well, that's quite good. Is it? Or is that just... Have I just proved the obvious? I've proved that these squares are a red-green pair. I think I've just proved something that's really obvious, actually. I'm not sure that's very clever. I've not put blue on this diagonal, yeah, so these are just a blue-purple pair. Yes, we've got 4s, 5s, 8s and 9s basically as a quadruple in the box in those positions. Right, this is not right. Okay, we've got to think about... Oh, 3, 7. Looking at that cell. Bingo. It's going to be sudoku, isn't it? That's what I've not done. So I've now got an extra 7. Right. Which does nothing. All of... Yeah, these cells and these cells have the same, and those cells, they all have the same digits. Because although the thermometers all work differently, I now wonder if that's got to be a 7. Yeah, I don't know that, but it just feels like if that's 1, 2, 6 and that's 1, 2, 3, maybe that has to be 1, 2, 7, because the crosses all have the same contents, look, because they always have a 1, 3, 6, 7 quadruple off the cross in each of the boxes. Right. Okay. Right. Oh no, see, then I'm going to get dual colours. What I don't really want to do is to start pencil marking that this digit is in one of those 2 cells. Because until I know what this is, whether it's blue or green, that's just going to be confusing. Is it this 27? No, I don't think it is. What are these digits? These are from 4, 5, 8, and 9. So if we made these... Okay, so that cannot be a 4, 5 pair. Because if it was a 4, 5 pair, the only way of getting to 27 would be a double 9 in those cells. And now you couldn't put a 9 in this box, because if this is a 4, 5 pair, and there's a 9 here and a 9 here, there's nowhere for the 9 to go. So at least one of these digits is high. If this was an 8, 9 pair, that would be 17. These would add up to 10. Which could be double 5. Oh no, it can't be double 5. No, actually it can't be double 5 if that's an 8, 9 pair. Because then you couldn't put 5 in this box, because there would need to be a 5 in one of those, and there couldn't be if that was double 5. Okay, so no, alright, so if this is 8, 9, I do need to come up with a real way of making 10 that involves different digits. Which is, I think, I can't use 4, 6, can't use 3, 7. Or 1, gosh, it would have to be 2, 8. Now, oh, that's not a 1. I wonder if I can get rid of 2, 8. If I can get rid of 2, 8, then I would know that this is 1 low digit and 1 high digit. I'm not actually sure that would help me very much, but let me just try this. How do we get rid of 2 and 8 into these squares? Oh, sudoku. That's a 2. So there's now a 2 in one of those cells, a 2 in one of these cells, so if this is 2, 8, it has to be 2 here, 8 here. It's getting very difficult for this to be 2, 8. That 2 has done absolutely nothing, has it? It just sort of sits in the puzzle. It gets rid of it. Okay, no, it allows me to colour this cell, which is now yellow. Aha. So now... no, it doesn't work. I know yellow is 1 or 3. Well, if that's yellow, that's fine, but that could be yellow and be a 3, and that would give it an escape valve. Right, how do we do this then? We've always got 6 and 7. Oh no, is it that? Oh dear, I hope it's not that, because that's obvious if that's true, or fairly obvious. Oh. Hang on. If this is a 1, if that's a 1, how do we get to 28 is what I'm wondering. If that's a 1, I've got 14 then. So these have to add up to 14, and from their options, they would have to be a 5, 9 pair. They would have to be a 5, 9 pair. So, but if this is a 3, these have to add up to 12 then. And their options would mean they have to be a 4, 8 pair. Oh, that's it. Oh, dear. Right. So, this is something to do with the fact that all of these crosses have the same combination. Yeah. If you look at the crosses, they've all got 6 and 7 in them, plus a coloured digit. Actually, maybe it's not right. Hang on a minute. Is it true that the only way of making... I'm just going to think about this box a bit more. Do we know... Or can we say, we know that it could have a, whatever that digit is, a blue digit, which is that digit. Yeah, but if it's... Oh, I'm getting confused now. So let's just work this through. I think that's going to be the simplest way to... Simple. It's not simple, but I'm going to try and show you. I feel like this has to be a green digit, but I can't quite justify it in my head, so I'm just going to play around with the numbers and let's just see if this works. So if this is a 1, then we know this is a 1 because of our colouring. Now we also know, look, that this has got 1, 6 and 7 in its cage already. And we know 1, 6 and 7 add to 14. So we know there are 2 other digits in this cage that add up to 14, and they can't involve a 6. So we know that those digits are 5 and 9, which must be the same as those 2 digits, because that's the only way these 2 digits can add up to 14. So if this is a 1, it is certain that this cage is the same, has the same composition as this cage, and that will be massive, because that will make this cell green. Now, if this is 3 on the other hand, and this is 3, I think this works, doesn't it? It feels like it's going to work. Now I've got 12 in here, but can I do... I'm not actually... No, maybe because it's got to have a high digit in it. It can't be 5. No, it is the same. It is the same. I'm being slow. I was not picking up the fact that 7 has been eliminated, so there is only one way of making 12. It is the same logic. Right, so if we do 3, 6, 7 in here, how does it work? Well, 3, 6 and 7 is 16. We need 12 more, but we can't use 3, 9. That would repeat the 3, and we can't use 5, 7. So it must be 4, 8, which means it would be the same as over here, which would have to be a 4, 8 if this is a 3. So what this means is that this cage is the same, it has the same contents as any other cage that has to have 6 and 7 in it, along with yellow, which is everything, which is all of these cages. Now, is brown the same? Brown has 6 and 7 down here, it has 6 and 7 down here, so that logic is totally transportable. Yes, right, so we now have got somewhere, because, well, two things. Actually, it's interesting this. Firstly, because we now know there's a red digit in here, it must be in one of those 2 cells, because that's the only place it could go. So there is a red digit along with a 7. So these are 4, 5 and 7 only. That cell is now green. Now this is huge, because now all of a sudden I know that has got to be not green. So again, the symmetry is sort of bounding to the 4, isn't it? This has got to have purple in it, and it has to be in one of those squares. So this is a 4, 5, 7, 4, 5 purple plus a 7. Okay, now that digit is now not able to be blue, so that must be purple. That must be blue in the corner. Does that do anything? I'm going to have to do this with all of these other cages as well. So brown always needs a blue digit in it. So that's now in one of those cells. So these are 6, 8, 9, and one of these is blue. And therefore that must be a red... No, it must be a purple digit. Brown needs a purple digit, which is a 4 or a 5. Okie dokie. Purple. So purple is now in one of those 2 squares. How do we keep this going? I'm probably going to have to do this one now, I think. So yellow needs to have a... Which is going to be the easy win here. Is there an easy win? Well, there's a little easy win. Green in the middle box now has to be vertical, doesn't it? And blue in the middle box has to be horizontal. So the green that must exist in a yellow box must be in one of those squares. So these are 6, 8, 9. One of them is green, which means one of these has got to be red. So this is a 4, 5, 7 red pairing. And okay, yellow is in one of these 2 cells. Okay. So how do we move this forward a little bit more now? I don't know. Does there have to be... Yeah, green in this box has to be in one of those cells. So I now know that this is a green-purple combination. Which I don't think I know much more than that. Well, that means I must know what this combination is. What's the colour I've not used in this column now? Is it... Oh, it's 6, isn't it? So it doesn't get resolved. I've never given 6 a colour. But in this box, I must have a light blue and whatever the counterpart to... it's got to be a red digit. So there's a light blue red here. Right, well, what does this mean? That is the question. I haven't got a clue. I've got an 8-9 pair here. I've got a 4-5 pair here. Problem is, it doesn't actually seem to have... I thought that when we resolved this 8-9 pair, it would really help. But now I'm not so sure it has. Oh, hang on, that's green. So that's not green. Okay, that's got to be red then. So that's got to be green in the corner. Oh, that is useful. That green in the corner sees that cell. So that's now purple. That's now green. I want to put green in there. So this is a 4-5. This is the 8-9. So purple now in this box we know is not in a cage that has a yellow digit in. So it's in one of those two cells, which means that purple in the middle box is vertical, which means it joins up with its friend the green again, which means there must be a red digit horizontally. I don't think that's helped either. I've got a bad feeling about this. What's the red digit? The red digit is that digit, so that's a 4 or a 5, which means that is now not 4 or 5, because we know that one of these is 7 and one of these is red. So that's become a 7. Okay, well that's the first bit of real breakthrough we've had. Now that digit now is the 4 or a 5. And that being a 7 makes this... Oh, no. That's annoying. Because that being a 3 means that the yellow... I was hoping if that would have been a 7, we'd have known this had to be yellow. But look, yellow still has an option. Could be either way round. And look, this 7 means that we did get a different end digit in all of these cells. All of those tips of the thermos, they are all different. And how many 7s have we got in the grid? Not enough. Oh, Bobbin's face. Right, what's that digit? That's an 8 or a 9, isn't it? Can we do any better Sudoku? I've got a 4-5 pair here, look. So that digit is now an 8 or a 9. And it must be, that's blue. Aha! That is a blue digit. So that's not a blue digit. Let's get rid of that altogether. So now we've got a virtual pair here. So the red digit in this box now, where does it go? Well, in this row, where does it go? Remember, it doesn't go in those cells because they are a purple digit and a 7. So the only place for red is there, which does absolutely diddly squat. So what we need to somehow do here... Right, well, so if I can limit this digit now... Yeah, I think it's all going to be about this diagonal somehow. Oh, I can do it. It's easy. Oh, it's beautiful, actually. That is lovely. That is lovely. Right, it's really simple. Well, when I say really simple, it's really simple once you focus on the right thing. Now, this cell sees purple 4-5, and by Sudoku, well, or in fact, there's a red 4-5 here. So this is not a 4-5. So this is an 8-9 pair, and in fact, therefore, that cell up there must be, what's that going to be? Purple 4-5. But now look, I've got 17 here, and I've already thought about this. That couldn't be double 5, because then neither of these could be 5, and that's not going to work. So I think I said it could only be 2-8. Now what I can't... Right, if it's 2-8, and that can't be 2, that's got to be 8, that's got to be 2. I'm just going to double check that actually. Let me just make absolutely sure there isn't another way of doing this. So this digit, you can see that can't be 4 because that would be 6 and that would clash. Double 5 is impossible. 6, 7 is impossible. 9 is impossible. It is the only way I can see that working is with 8 here and 2 here. But weirdly, that doesn't seem to... Oh, no, it does. Right, so now green is 9. That is huge. That is huge. Wow. So green is 9, which means that light blue is 8. That can be sprinkled around the grid. So these cannot be 9s anymore. These cannot be 8s anymore. And 9, we said... Didn't I say that went with 1? I'm sure I did. Yeah, because if you make this a 1 now, it won't add up. You can't get those squares to add up to 27. So that must be, the brown is 3, which means yellow is 1. 3's go in here. And all of a sudden, I don't want to speak too soon, but now by maths I can work out that digit. Yeah, that has to be a 5 to make this add up. So that's a 4. So 4, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4. If I'd done better colouring, we could have done this with a bit more aplomb. I could have double-clicked digits and things like that. That's not a 3 anymore. Oh, this cell sees 1 and 3, so it's a 2. That's a 3. So that digit is now apparently a 9 by sudoku, which gets greened. Which means this is a 9, that's a 6. We'll sort out the colouring at the end if we can. Oh yeah, look, 7 and 6 go in the middle box. That's got to be a 7 by sudoku now. So this has become purple, which means that's purple. And we know purple is 4, so that's 4, that's 4. Have we done all our purplification? Most of it, I think. These two squares have got to be a 5, 7 pair. Oh, and the 7 here sorts them out. So that's 7, that's 5, that's 6, that's 8. We can see 8's in one of those squares, along with a red digit, which is a 5. So this is a 5, 8 pair, which means that must be a 4, 9 pair, which probably is resolved, but I can't see how to do it immediately. That cell is known. That is an 8. That's a useful 8 as well. 8 and 5 go in. 5 and 1 go in. Let's double click our 1s and turn them all yellow. And that stripy pattern is useful because that places a 1 here. So in this column now, we need 5 and 9, which means that's the 9, that's the 5. What is the high digit there? It's got to be 8. Those two squares are 2 and 5. That's a 2. And this has got to be a 3 and a 6. Oh no, I've already got a 6. 3 and a 4. So that's 3. That's 4. I've got that's 4. That's 9. And down in this box, we just need 2s and 3s. So hopefully that's 3 and that's 2. And that was a very higgledy-piggledy way. Oh no, that's got to be a 4. I might have filled in all the digits. I'm far from sure. But look, what we can do is we can double click all the digits that we're meant to have colours in. So 3s are all meant to be brown. So let's... Oh goodness, I did not want to do that. I want to undo the colour and turn them all brown. 4s, I'm going to double click. Oh, I've got to go back to numbers to double click them and be safe. And then I want to turn all of the 4s purple. And then 5s we know are red, so let's double click all of the 5s, turn them all red. 6's never had a colour, 7's never had a colour, sorry about that. 8's we can double click and turn them all blue, and 9's needed to all be green. There's a lonely 9 there, so all the 9's turn greens. That 6 needs to lose its colour. That 7 needs to lose its colour. I know some of you are very anxious that I don't make any trigger anyone's OCD. That almost did it there. Look, there's probably another one by Symmetry that I've got potentially dual coloured. There is there. Okay, that's probably better. So I should have 2, 6, 7 uncovered in every box. What a puzzle that is. That is so clever, isn't it? Under an hour. For that, am I disappointed? No, I really am not. That's not an easy puzzle, I don't think. It felt... Well, I say that, but I think I have to be a little bit critical of my brain, because I think I could have appreciated more quickly that there's only one fill for these cross shapes once they have 3 common digits. Although it's still, yeah, I mean, still that I think that only follows because of the options that I had left available to me. And working out that I only had those 2 options available to me, or only one option available to me, it still feels slightly elusive. And it's a beautiful idea. The setup is very beautiful, and what I liked about it is that the break-in was very well signalled. The broken fence and the central digits, that seemed very natural to look at, and it then yielded the 1, 2, 3s, which were beautiful. The way the thermos worked was lovely. And what else did I really like about this? There was something else that I thought was magical. This diagonal is magical. The fact you can limit those 2 digits to 6 and 7, and then you sort of get to have a think about this 8, 9 colouring. It's really, I mean, that's why it's got a 100% rating. That's why people are writing in going, you've got to do this puzzle. That's why Playmaker is going to be sending a huge amount of money to us for putting this in the Puzzle Museum. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. Have a good Friday evening, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.